There's a moment in every man's life when he looks in the mirror and doesn't recognize who's staring back. Not because he's changed, but because he hasn't. Same thoughts, same fears, same stories, days bleeding into weeks, weeks into years, and nothing inside has truly evolved. It's a quiet kind of suffering. Not dramatic, not loud, but corrosive. You feel it when you lie in bed at night, fully aware that something needs to break, and it has to be you. You sense a deep, unsettling truth that the life you are living is a script written by someone else, a collection of compromises you never intended to make. This isn't just a bad day or a rough patch. This is a spiritual stagnation, a silent alarm telling you that you've outgrown the person you've been pretending to be. But let's be clear about the nature of this cage. You are not lazy. You are not broken. You are simply imprisoned. You are trapped in a place so deceptively comfortable that you mistake its walls for shelter. It's called the comfort zone, but it is the most dangerous place on earth. It is a space where potential goes to die, where dreams are quietly suffocated by the soothing lullaby of tomorrow. You tell yourself you're just thinking, planning, strategizing. But you're not. You're mistaking overthinking for action. You're drawing maps for a journey you never take. How many nights have you spent planning a life you never actually live? How many great ideas have dissolved in the morning light, dismissed as unrealistic or too risky? That hesitation, that constant negotiation with your own ambition, is the sound of the prison bars closing in. The insidious nature of this prison is that it feels like safety. It's the familiar job you don't love but know how to do. It's the relationships that no longer challenge you but don't demand much either. It's the habits that numb you just enough to get through the day without screaming. But this safety is an illusion. It is a slow-acting poison. Psychologists have a term for the antidote to this state: psychological flexibility. It's the ability to stay present and open to your experiences, and to take action that aligns with your deepest values, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable. Studies from institutions like the Association for Contextual Behavioral Science show a direct link between a lack of this flexibility, being stuck in your comfort zone, and higher rates of anxiety, depression, and overall dissatisfaction with life. Your mind, in its attempt to protect you from the perceived danger of the unknown, has built a fortress around you. But a fortress designed to keep danger out also keeps you in. It prevents you from feeling the sharp, clarifying sting of failure, the exhilarating rush of a new challenge, the profound satisfaction of becoming more than you were yesterday. So, how do you know if you're truly trapped? The signs are subtle, but they are there. The first sign is that your primary emotion is boredom, punctuated by moments of quiet desperation. You find yourself scrolling endlessly, watching other people live their lives, feeling a strange mix of envy and apathy. The second sign is that you find yourself saying, someday, or tomorrow, more often than today. Your dreams have been relegated to a future that never arrives. The third, and perhaps most telling sign, is that you actively avoid opportunities for growth. When a new project, a difficult conversation, or a chance to learn a new skill presents itself, your immediate, gut reaction is not excitement, but fear. A fear of failure, a fear of judgment, a fear of disrupting the fragile peace of your predictable world. If this sounds familiar, understand that you are not hearing a death sentence. You are hearing a wake-up call. The discomfort you feel is not a sign that you are broken. It is a sign that the man you are meant to be is trying to break free. The question is no longer whether you need to change. The question is, do you have the courage to begin the demolition? So, you stand in the ruins of your own comfort zone, the echo of the wake-up call still ringing in your ears. What now? The temptation is to start patching things up, to make small improvements, to negotiate with the wreckage. But improvement is not the answer. You cannot renovate a cracked foundation. You must dynamite it. The transformation you seek does not begin with a new habit. It begins with a funeral. A funeral for the man you used to be. This requires a single, conscious, non-negotiable decision. A decision made in the quiet of your own mind, so powerful and so absolute that it sends a shockwave through your entire existence. This is the moment you declare, with chilling clarity, that the person who accepted less than he was worth, the person who made excuses, the person who postponed his life for a someday that never came, that person's reign is over. This is not about revenge or proving them wrong. It is a quiet, internal declaration of sovereignty. It is the moment you stop asking for permission to become who you are. I know a man, a successful man by all outward measures, who found himself in this very state of quiet desperation. For years, he worked tirelessly, building a life that looked perfect on paper but felt hollow inside. He described it as losing himself, as if the daily stress and endless demands had eroded his very identity until he no longer knew the man in the mirror. One day, he made a decision. He booked a 2-month trip to a remote part of Asia, a place where no one knew his name, his history, or his accomplishments. He was leaving everything and everyone behind. His friends called it a midlife crisis. His family called it reckless. But he knew what it was. It was a demolition. He wasn't running away from his life, he was running toward himself, toward the man he had abandoned years ago. He understood that in order to rebuild, he first had to completely clear the land. Now, you do not need to buy a plane ticket to a foreign land to make this decision. The act of demolition can be much quieter, yet just as profound. It can be the act of finally blocking a number that has been a source of pain and compromise. It can be deleting a folder of old photos that keeps you anchored to a past you've outgrown. It can be walking away from a conversation where you feel your old, weaker self being summoned back to the stage. It is the ruthless act of severing every tie, every bridge, every convenient escape route that leads back to the familiar prison of your past. People will not understand. Some will call you cold, distant, selfish. Let them. They are not talking to the new you. They are mourning a version of you that was easier for them to manage, a version that made them feel comfortable. Your job is not to manage their feelings about your transformation. Your job is to see the demolition through to the end. Because if you leave a single thread connected to your past identity, you will inevitably use it to pull yourself back in when the pressure of growth becomes intense. And the pressure will become intense. This is the point of no return. The ancient warriors who burned their ships upon reaching enemy shores did so for one reason: clarity. It eliminated the option of retreat. It made the path forward the only path. This is the kind of commitment your transformation demands. It is a declaration that you will not revisit the past when things get hard. You will not seek comfort in the old habits that poisoned you. You will not call the people who witnessed your weakness when you feel weak. You must make your own renewal non-negotiable. This is not an act of anger. It is an act of profound self-respect. It's the ultimate recognition that the space required to build your future is more valuable than the ruins you're leaving behind. You are choosing to become the architect of your own soul, and the first act of any great builder is to clear the ground completely. What follows this demolition is a profound silence. A vast, empty space. And it is in this space that the real work begins. This silence is where most men fail. After the adrenaline of the demolition, after the defiant act of burning the bridges, you are left alone in a quiet, empty landscape. And this solitude feels terrifying. The immediate impulse is to fill it with noise, new relationships, new distractions, new goals, anything to avoid the deafening roar of your own unfiltered thoughts. But you must resist this impulse. Because this solitude is not a punishment. It is not loneliness. It is a workshop. It is the most sacred and productive space you will ever inhabit. Loneliness is the pain of being alone. Solitude is the power of being alone. And for the first time, you must choose it deliberately. Science is beginning to catch up with this ancient wisdom. In a study published in the Personality and Individual Differences journal, researchers found that individuals who actively choose solitude report lower stress levels, greater life satisfaction, and a stronger sense of self-determination. When you are alone, free from the constant input and expectations of the outside world, your brain begins a crucial process of reorganization. It's like a computer defragmenting its hard drive. It sorts through the noise, connects disparate ideas, and allows you to finally hear your own voice, separate from the cacophony of shoulds and have-tos that have governed your life. This is not a passive waiting. It is an active engagement with the most important person you will ever know, yourself. In this chosen solitude, you stop outsourcing your values. You stop dressing for their compliments and start living by your own code. Your moral compass, once skewed by the magnetic pull of social pressure, begins to point true north again. Of course, this process is not easy. When you first step into this workshop of solitude, you will be confronted by everything you have been running from. Your insecurities, your regrets, your ego, your deepest fears, they are all waiting for you there. There are no distractions to save you. You cannot blame anyone else. You must face yourself, raw and unfiltered. And in this honest confrontation, you have a choice: fall back into the comforting lies of the past, or rise into the clarifying truth of the present. This is where you test your beliefs. This is where you expose your weaknesses not as points of shame, but as items on a to-do list. You sit with your discomfort until it becomes your teacher. You listen to your anxiety until it tells you what you truly value. You look at your past failures until you extract every last lesson from them. This is the inner work that no one sees, but everyone will eventually feel. It is in this silent, solitary workshop that you will draw the blueprint for the man you are going to build. It is where you move from destruction to the first, deliberate acts of reconstruction. You have cleared the land. You have sat in the profound silence of solitude and listened. But a cleared site, left unattended, will only grow weeds. A blueprint, however brilliant, is useless without a builder. This is the stage where vision must be translated into concrete and steel. This is where you begin the deliberate, methodical, and relentless work of building the new you. And this construction is not powered by sporadic bursts of motivation, it is built upon the unshakable foundation of an unbreakable routine. Your routine is your new architecture. It is the system that will hold you steady when the storms of emotion and doubt arrive. It is the daily practice that transforms abstract ideals into living reality. But let's be honest about what it takes. You've been sold a convenient lie, the 21-day myth. The idea that you can fundamentally change your life in 3 weeks is a marketing slogan, not a reflection of reality. A landmark study from the European Journal of Social Psychology revealed the truth: on average, it takes 66 days of consistent action for a new behavior to become automatic. 66 days. Think about that. It means for over 2 months, you will have to show up when you don't feel like it. It means your feelings are irrelevant. Your excuses are irrelevant. The only thing that matters is the system. Willpower is a finite resource that fades, but a well-designed routine is a machine that runs regardless of your mood. So what does this machine look like? It is built on 3 essential, non-negotiable pillars. The first pillar is physical movement. Every single day, you must intentionally move your body. This is not about vanity or achieving a certain physique, though those may be byproducts. This is about generating energy and forging discipline. It is the first promise you keep to yourself each morning. Whether it's a brutal workout, a long walk in the woods, or simply stretching on the floor, the act of commanding your body to move when it would rather be still sends a powerful signal to your mind: I am in control. This physical discipline becomes a metaphor for your entire life. You are teaching yourself, on a cellular level, to choose effort over ease. This is the fire that warms the engine for the rest of the day. The second pillar is mental stillness. Just as you move your body, you must still your mind. In our world of constant notification and endless distraction, the ability to be silent and present is a superpower. Every day, you must carve out time, even just 10 minutes, for deliberate stillness. This could be meditation, journaling, or simply sitting in a quiet room and focusing on your breath. This is the practice of observing your thoughts without becoming entangled in them. It's where you notice the old, fearful programming trying to creep back in, and you choose not to engage. You are training yourself to be the calm center of the storm, not the leaf tossed about by the wind. This daily practice builds an inner fortress of peace that external chaos cannot breach. It is the scheduled maintenance for your soul. The third pillar is focused work. This is your time to build. It is a sacred, protected block of time where you engage in deep, undistracted work on your mission, your craft, your purpose. Turn off your phone. Close the email tabs. This is you, alone with the task that matters most. It is in this focused state that you enter what athletes call the zone, where time seems to fade and your skills are fully engaged. This is where you create tangible value. This is where you build the skills that will define your new life. Whether you are writing a book, starting a business, or mastering a new trade, this focused work is the engine of your growth. It is the proof, in the real world, that you are no longer just a dreamer, but a builder. Physical movement, mental stillness, and focused work. These three pillars, repeated daily for 66 days and beyond, are what transform a blueprint into a monument. They are the daily votes you cast for the man you are determined to become. But a blueprint, no matter how perfect, and a routine, no matter how disciplined, will eventually meet an immovable force, reality. Life will test your new structure. A crisis will erupt. A relationship will fail. A business will collapse. You will experience pain. And in that moment of intense pressure, your first instinct, the instinct of the old you, will be to see it as a sign to quit. You will think, this isn't working. It's too hard. I'm not strong enough. This is the great filter that separates the men who transform from the boys who only try. Because pain is not a stop sign. It is a signpost. It is pointing directly to the part of you that is still weak, the part that still needs to be forged. What if you decided that every setback was not an obstacle in your path, but the path itself? This is not just a clever mental trick, it is a profound psychological phenomenon with a name: post-traumatic growth. Researchers like Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun have spent decades studying people who have endured immense trauma and hardship. Their findings are staggering. A significant majority, often over half of the individuals studied, report not just a return to their previous state of being, but a fundamental positive transformation. They emerge with a deeper appreciation for life, more meaningful relationships, a greater sense of personal strength, and a clearer spiritual purpose. They did not just survive, they evolved. The fire that was meant to destroy them instead forged them into something stronger. This is the mindset you must adopt. Your pain is your forge. When you are betrayed, you are not just a victim, you are a student learning a masterclass on the importance of boundaries and the true nature of character. When you fail in business, you are not a loser, you are earning a PhD in resilience and strategy that no university could ever offer. When you suffer loss, you are not just broken, you are being brutally taught what truly matters in this fleeting life. The key is to stop being a passive recipient of your pain and to become an active interrogator of it. When hardship strikes, you must pause, breathe, and ask it directly, what are you here to teach me? What weakness in me have you been sent to expose? What part of my old self are you here to burn away? When you start asking these questions, you transform pain from a destructive force into the most potent fuel for your reconstruction. You stop carrying your wounds like chains and start wearing them like armor. Every scar becomes a testament to a battle you endured and a lesson you learned. You realize that your strongest, wisest, most compassionate self is not built in times of ease. He is forged in the heart of the fire. And then, one day, it happens. It won't be announced by trumpets or marked by a ceremony. It will be a quiet, internal shift. You'll wake up, and you'll realize that the discipline is no longer a struggle. The routine is no longer a checklist you have to force yourself to complete, it's simply what you do. It's who you are. The healthy food, the early morning, the difficult work, they no longer feel like sacrifices. They feel like you. This is the moment you have moved beyond doing and into being. This is the birth of your new identity. For months, you have been acting as if. You acted as if you were a disciplined man. You acted as if you were a resilient man. You acted as if you were a man of purpose. And through the alchemy of repetition and pressure, the performance has become your reality. The core of this transformation is the rewriting of your internal narrative. The old you was defined by a story, a collection of limiting beliefs you accepted as fact. I'm not a morning person. I'm not good with confrontation. I've just always been lazy. These were never facts, they were permissions you gave yourself to play small. The new you is built upon a different story, a story you write consciously, a story you reinforce with every action you take. You stop saying, I'm trying to be. And you start declaring, I am. I am a man who keeps his word to himself. I am a man who finds strength in solitude. I am a man who uses adversity as fuel. You are not just repeating affirmations, you are stating your essence. You are aligning your conscious mind with the identity you have forged through your daily actions. This is the point where the world around you begins to reflect the change within you. People from your past may comment that you've changed, sometimes with a tone of accusation. They are right. You have. You have outgrown the person they were comfortable with. You no longer fit in the box they built for you, and your new shape makes them uneasy. Take this as the highest compliment. It is confirmation that your reconstruction is a success. You are no longer performing a role in their play, you are the author of your own. You move differently, you speak with a quiet economy of words, and you carry yourself with a centeredness that cannot be faked. This isn't arrogance. It is the calm, unshakable confidence of a man who has faced his own demons and won. It is the quiet authority of a man who has built himself from the ground up. As the dust of your reconstruction settles, something remarkable emerges. It is a quiet confidence, a groundedness that you can feel deep in your bones. It is not the loud, performative confidence of a man trying to convince the world of his worth. It is the silent, unshakable strength of a man who no longer needs to. This is the state of true self-reliance. It is not a goal you have been chasing, it is the natural consequence of the man you have become. It is the profound peace that comes when you stop expecting the world to save you, because you have finally learned how to save yourself. Let us be clear what self-reliance is. It is not a call to isolation. It is not an arrogant dismissal of others. It is the liberation from neediness. It is the internal knowing that your foundation, built with your own hands, through your own discipline, and tempered in your own fire, will hold. You no longer need applause to feel validated because you have become your own witness. You no longer need constant company to feel complete because you have learned to be at home in your own solitude. You no longer need external comfort to feel safe because you have built your security within. This shift changes everything. You stop seeing the world through the lens of what you can get, and start seeing it through the lens of what you can give. Your relationships transform, because you no longer enter them as a beggar trying to fill a void, but as a sovereign individual choosing to share your fullness. This is the very definition of freedom. When your self-worth is no longer rented from the fluctuating opinions of others, you become immune to manipulation. Flattery does not inflate you, and criticism does not deflate you. You can listen to feedback, learn from it, and discard what does not serve you without your ego being threatened. You move through the world with a new kind of power, a quiet power that doesn't need to be announced. It is felt in your presence. It is heard in the calmness of your voice. It is seen in the deliberation of your actions. People sense it, even if they cannot name it. They respect it, because it is real. This is the reward for all the silent battles, for all the lonely work, for all the promises you kept to yourself when no one was watching. It is the unshakable peace of knowing that you are the architect, the builder, and the resident of your own life. And so, we return to the beginning. To the man in the mirror. He looks back at you today, and you still may not recognize him. But this time, it is because he has finally evolved. The haunted look in his eyes has been replaced by a quiet clarity. The lines of compromise on his face have been softened by the resolve of his purpose. You have walked through the fire, and you did not come out unscathed. You came out forged. You have diagnosed the prison of your comfort. You have performed the demolition of your old self. You have endured the solitary work of reconstruction. The old you, the man who was a collection of fears and excuses, served his purpose. He was a lesson, not a life sentence. The pain he endured, the confusion he navigated, the mistakes he made, none of it was in vain. He was the man who was forced to lay a foundation in the dark. Now, it is your turn to build in the light. The man you used to be built that foundation of pain and confusion. Now, it is your duty to build a skyscraper on top of it. The architecture of your life is now in your hands. This means the central question of your existence must change. You must stop asking the passive, searching question, who am I? That is the question of a man lost in the woods, waiting for a map to fall from the sky. You must now ask the active, creative, and powerful question, who will I build? That is the question of a man who holds the compass, the blueprint, and the tools in his own hands. It is the question of a creator, not a creature of circumstance. The answer to this question is not found in a grand gesture or a single moment of epiphany. It is found in the very next choice you make. It is built brick by single brick. Will you lay a brick of discipline or a brick of excuses? A brick of courage or a brick of comfort? The choice is yours, right now, in this moment. The skyscraper of your future self is not built tomorrow. It is built today. So, start laying the first brick. Perhaps that brick is simply putting on your shoes and going for the walk you promised yourself. Perhaps it is closing this video and sitting in silence for 10 minutes. Perhaps it is having the difficult conversation you have been avoiding all week. The size of the brick does not matter. The act of laying it is everything. Your future is watching. Your future is waiting. The man you are destined to become is waiting. Show him what you are going to build.